December 7, 1941. Ek Aisa dinjo dunia ki yad. Mi hamesha ki lai chop chad gaya. Hawaii kasakun bara. Pearl Harbor. Jiska narm hawan se bara suba ka manzar. Dinan mi ek postcard jasa hota da. Us din kisi tufan ka sankit di raha da. Par kisi ko ondaza nahi, the ki surf kuch, high minute bod. Itilas ka pala bada Dhaka, America, ko hila, kar, rakdega. Wahi December ki suba. American sailors or pilots. Aram, say apni routine me lage hu the. Kuch log breakfast, kar rehi. The Kutch Naval Base ki Safai dek Rahida, or Kutch, apni ships USS Arizona, USS Oklahoma, USS West Virginia, or Baki battleships co-regular inspection, ki lai Tayar, kar Rahida, Sabko lag Raha, da ki ye, ek, or, shant, suba, hogi. Jasa har raz hota da. Likan Hawaii, ki Osman mi kahin dor, ik ajib sagup tandara, cha raha da. Japani Imperial Navy, Jo Mahino se, is Operation AI ki planning kar rahi thi. Apni aircraft carriers, say Yuthi, Hoti, Hawa Mibia was fail rahi thi. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto ki mastermind strategy. Jisna decide kia da ki America koek, knockout punch, dia j. Bilkul wakt par apni jaga par a rahi thi. Pearl Harbor ki upper kahin door. Japanese attackers formation mi ad rahida. Pilot Fukita Mitsuo apni aircraft say har. Cheese ko nazar mi rak hu da. Unk hof mi radio transmitter the. Jis wo attack ka pala signal din whale the. Or niche, Pearl Harbor, Bilkul bikabar. Ek chain bear island ki terra, so raha da. Suba 7:48 am. Yewo pal da jab Osman ni apna rang badal dia. Ek zor kagarajda hur awaz. Or fur. Japanese torpedo bombers, Hawa mi ek tir, ki terra break hot, hu niche dive, karn lage. America ki sentries ko pehol, Talaga ye training exercise high. Par jab pella, torpedo USS Oklahoma ki, side mi takraya. Or pani, kabata gucha, Hawa mi yuka kala gaya. Tab sabko samaj, a ya, America war mi. Dakal dia gaya, hi. Pearl Harbor mi pella blast hoda high panic mock gaya. Sailors bogte hul arms, bajan lage, par alarms. Itender say badge rehi, the key attackers, Pevel high base, ki bilkul, upper aa chukta. Fighter planes ground par parktha, bilkul, paz line mi ek perfect target. Japanese dive bombers, ni har, ek plane ko, ek kark. Og laga di. Kuch high seconds me, pora airfield, flames me dubgaya. USS Arizona, Sabs Shan or, Takat ka symbol. Dusri wave ki torpedo strike, say Hilkar rahi gaye. Ek massive explosion, say Pori ship kadekcher gaya. Or 1000 says Iata sailors, ek high pelmi shahid hoge. Is Hemel ki intensity itni thi, ki Pearl Harbor ki hawa b shockwave, say kampa rahi thi. America ki naval might, jis par dunia barbarossa, kardi thi. Ek palmi lapsi, hoti dik rahi thi. Parya to surf shorewat thi. Yamamoto kaplan abihai pori terra unfold hona baki da. Pearl Harbor par pella blast gunta hua hawa mi gunj raha da. Par American forces abihai b shock me the. Kisi ko samaj hai nahi a raha da kiya sab sachmi ho raha hai. Bahut sar soldiers ni jab Osman mi Japanese insignia whale planes deck. Tab unki onken mi yukin or dare dono da kiss terra koi ititna bada attack. Bina kisi warning ki kar sakta the. USS Oklahoma Pehol high torpedoes say hill chuki thi. Ship dear, port side, par jukni logi. Sailors andar, fas, chuk. The, unki chikine lohi, ki diwerin me, takra kar, kahin gayab, ho rahi, thi. Kuch officers unk rescue ki lai ekdam baaj. Par pani ki raftar, or explosions, ni sab kuch mushkil, kar dia. Har second. Ek nei, tragedy unfold. Ho rahi thi. USS West Virginia ko B torpedoes, ni chadala. Uskdek par cod sailors ko samaj hi nahi a iraha da ki kiss, disha, say rescue karine. Har tariff surf dwaog. Or girt hu metal ki tuktha. Kuch log pani mi kud kar, apni yan bashain, ki koshish, kar rehi, the. Par har tariff burning oil float kar rahada. Jo pani ko be fire trap, bana rahada. Isai afra tafrimi. Battleship row ka sabs dardnak, manzar, somni, the USS Arizona. Japanese planes ni usko apni primary target list mi raka the. Ek high altitude bomber ni bilkul sahi angle say apna bomb drop kia. Bomb Arizona ki forward magazine me penetrate. Hua. Jahan ammunition barrels stack the. Kuch seconds ki kamoshi. Ki bod ek Isa explosion hua jisk. Vibration miles door tak mesus ki gay. Arizona og ki ek bade guldaist me tabdil ho gay. Pori ship ki ra jays ek hi pelmi toot gay ho. 1177 logus moment me hemesha ki lai samandar. Ki niche chali gay. Airfields B unhi, nanghi, chad, rehi the. Ford Island Airfield, Wheeler Field. Or Hickam Field par Japanese Zero fighters ni strafing shuru kar d. Ground parkade, aircraft bina kisi cover ki line me lage hu the. Or ek high. Sweep me dozens aircraft jalkar metal scrap ben gay. American pilots, jo apni aircraft ki tariff bog rehi. The unhi Japanese fighters ni target practice ki tara attack kia. Kuch log plane mi chad b nahi pay. Japanese planes it accurately coordinated the key. Har wave apni perfect target par a rahi thi. Peli wave battleships or airfields par focused the. Dusri wave ni fuel depots, dry docks, or submarines ko aim kia. Pearl Harbor Base ka har, wopart, jo America ki Pacific Power co define karta, the. Ek. Kark collapse. Ho rahada. Har tariff surfek, sol gum rahada. Ya sab case ho sakta hai. Kahan fail hua hamara intelligence? America ki military experts ko lagta, the ki. Japan kabi direct American soil par attack, nahi karega. Likan Yamamoto ki sak, kuch, or haithi. Uska plan surf naval ships ko destroy karna nahi the. Balki America ki confidence, ko tadna the. Agar America collapse. Ho J. To Japan Pacific me apni victory, secure kar, sakta, the. Likan Pearl Harbor ki sailors. Che unhi ekdam, say ye attack mila ho. Ab ladna ki lai tayar, ho rehi, the. Pearl Harbor, ka Osman ab pori, Tara duan se bar, chuka, the. Japanese planes apni formations. Mi gunt hu har strategic target ko. Systematically destroy kar rehi the. American forces AB situation ko samaj kar react karn lage the. Lekan surprise attack ni unk coordination ko bilkul, tad dia the. Fur B. Kuch pockets me resistance, abhar rahada. Ford Island par stationed anti-aircraft gunners. Ni bina kisi formal order, ki apni guns activate kiye. Unka target Osman, mitezi say dive karn whale Japanese fighters the. Shuru mi unki fire inaccurate thi. Par J's gunners ko enemy planes ki pattern, samaj, adi gay. Unka aim better. Hota Gaya, Ek Zero Fighter Sita, hit hua or blaze mi lipta, hua samandar, mi ya jira. Gunners ni cheer nahi. He, pause, walked nahi da. Ek ki bod, ek dozens enemy planes. Upper se user rehi the Hickam field commandsar or b Zayada der bara the buildings par direct bomb hits ho rehi the barracks Jahan soldiers. So rehi, hi, blast me gur gay. Kuch log rubble me, dab kar cheek, rehi the Jais bahar, ki log sun to rehi the par kisi ki paz, unhi rescue karn ka wakt, na hi the airfield par parked bombers, jailed hu line me geir hu the Kuch American pilots need desperate attempt kia ki wo apni planes, ko runway, takla a par zeros ni unhi. Take off say pehol high machine gun fire say rock dia ye ek unequal battle the ek tariff trained armed attackers dusri tariff surprise unprepared defenders AG battleship Rumi USS Nevada Ekmitra ship the Jais Thoda movement Kamaka Milgaya captain or crew need decide Kia ki ship ko harbor say Bahar Nikal, Kar open simi Lajaya J, Jiswo cam vulnerable rehi, Nevada deer, uv, Karn Laji, Dwan or flames ki beach ek badge of courage ki terra, par Japanese pilots, Nias movement ko dek lia, unhone realize kia ki ager Nevada channel block cardi. To bod me sab operations me problem hogi, Isley unhone torrent Nevada co-primary target bana dia, dive bombers nias par heavy fire key, or ship severe damage say jukni laji, crew ki paz koi choice nahi, the unhi ship ko deliberately ground karnapada, taki channel open rehi, Nevada ki sacrifice Pearl Harbor ki bod recovery operations, me crucial sabbat hui, har tariff, ek high cheese common the confusion, destruction, or helplessness. Leakin is chaos ki beach American courage b apna roop, dika raha da, kitchen staff, mechanics, radio operators, medics, sablog apni departments, say bog car guns operate karn ya injured ko help karn pahench rehi the koi trained combat soldier da par har kisini apni terra say resistance dia Yamamoto ki planning brilliant the parek cheese jo usni expect nahi ki the wo the American spirit ka yara explosion Pearl Harbor par har blast ki soth America key soldiers ka determination or badta yaraha da attack abi hi b chal raha da par osman me American anti-aircraft fire kizid b dik rahi the second wave kiati hi Pearl Harbor par tabahi Cascale or b bad gaya jab Americans peli wave ki shock say abharn ki koshish kar rehi the tab Japanese attackers ni dusri bar apna full force strike launch kar dia is wave me dive bombers or high level bombers ka mix the jinka primary target battleships facilities fuel depots or repair docks the wo sab assets jo America ki long-term war capability code-define kartha Osman fur say ek metallic swarm ki terra bar gaya dive bombers ekdom seed vertical drop cart hue niche aa rehi the unka angle litna sharp hota the ki unk cockpit say pilot ki cheek keyline tak dik jati the har dive ki bodek ear splitting whistle or furek massive blast hota the Pearl Harbor ki buildings ab surf structures nahi rehi the wo ek battlefield ki debris ben rehi the USS Pennsylvania jo dry dock me the dusri wave ka direct target ban chuki the kuki ship pani me nahi the torpedoes use hit nahi kar sakti the Isley bombers ni isper heavy bombing ki deck parkade mechanics or repair crew ko bilkul ondaza nahi thaki unka regular maintenance Day ek nightmare me tabdeal ho jayaga. Ek blast ni pora forward area churkar rak dia. Firefighting crew torrent arrive hua. Leakin duan ki ganatmak layer ni unki visibility. Katam kar d thi. Wahi side me USS Helena or USS Oglala par B attacks ho rehitha. Helena code torpedo strike laga. Or Oglala shockwave, say capsize, hone logi. Harbor ki pani mi oil, wood. Or human struggle, kaak terrifying mix, tayar, ho raha da. Har koi yato kisi, ko rescue kar raha da. Yakud rescue hon ki koshish, kar raha da. Hospital point par station medical staff, ki upper, ek unimaginable load, aa gya. Injured sailors ko stretchers par. Jackets par. Or kutch, ko sita, huff, packed car, leia, yaraha, the. Bombing ki beach b medics been rook bandaged, stitched, treated. Or comfort car rehitha, blood, smoke. Or fire ki smell, ex south hospital, ko battlefield banarahi thi. Airfields me b dusri, wave, ka attack, chal raha da. Wheeler field par jo planes pehol. Hijalchuk the Unk batch cache parts AB Gargara car gur rehitha. Kutch pilots jo desperately ek plane ko hawa mi lane ki koshish car rehitha. Unhi zeros ni runway par high eliminate car dia. Ek pilot ni full throttle dia. Plane barely lift. Kia. Par ek zero fighter ni peach say strafing car d. Plane mid-air me high. Blast ho, gaya. Japanese pilots perfectly coordinated the Unhi Pata, the Kiabi American defenses active, ho chuk hain. Isli unhon zigzag flying or steep dives adopt Kie. Jis anti-aircraft guns, Unhi accurately hit, na karpe. Fur B, Americans key firing AB more precise. Hoti, Yarahi, Thi. Kutch Japanese bombers co-direct hits Lage. Or wo spiral me girt hu, harbor ki aspas crash hone lage. Second wave ki katam, hot Pearl Harbor, silent cry, jasa lag rahada. Dwan, flames, girty hua ships. Screaming sailors, har cheese ek frame me jam jati. Second wave ki duran Pearl Harbor par jo devastation hua. Usni por base ko ek battlefield me tabdeal kar dia. Par is tabahi ki beachek or silent battle chal rahi the. Communication or command key. American officers desperate attempts kar rehi the kiwo situation ko gain karine. Par har message duan or noise me ko ya raha da. Radio operators jink hath kabi kam. Routine messages bejta the. AB trembling fingers say emergency broadcasts transmit kar rehi the. Pearl Harbor under attack. This is not drill. Yeah, message radios me bar, echo ho raha da. Jays kissy ni panic, call alarm hawa me dal dia ho. USS Maryland or USS Tennessee. Joe Arizona or West Virginia ki beach me thi. Comparatively, cam damage larahi thi. Parunk aas pause ki tabahi. It ni zayada thi ki unka crew b rescue efforts me lag gaya. Maryland ki deck say sailors, Arizona par dive car rehitha. Flames ko ignore cart hue. Jis gar beje, yasakna, whale logon, ko drag kark, laya yasake. Kutch log flames me gyre hutha. Kutch oil covered the. Par koi kisi ko chad, nahi rahada. Ye wo unity thijo war, ki sabs dark, din me be chamek, jati high. Shoreside facilities me chaos, or b intense the. Fuel storage tanks ek crucial target the. Leakin surprisingly Japanese pilots, on par focus nahi, kar rehi the. Unka objective ships, or aircraft. The par stray explosions or burning debris ki waja say kutch fuel lines ignite ho gaya is say harbor ki kutch hisse me unplanned fires badakath fire brigades jo kal tak practice drills kart the ab ek real inferno ki samni kade the hoses, pumps, buckets sab kuch, use ho rahada, koi rukna, ka nam nahi la rahada, command center me, admiral husband, e kimel ni, finally ek clearer picture. Samaina Shoru Kia, Usko Pata, the Key Pearl Harbor Key defenses under equipped Hain. Parasni ye, expect Kabi Nahi Kia, the Key, attack itna sudden or itna coordinated Hoga. Usk officers reports, La Rehi, the Us's Arizona lost, Oklahoma capsized, West Virginia, sinking, Nevada grounded, airfields burning. Ye list har minute longer, hoti, yarahi thi, kimmel ni despair, ki sath ek line boli jo bod me history books, me quote huit. If only I had known, if only they had warned us. Is walked Pearl Harbor ki aas, pause civilian areas, be effect, ho rehi the, Honolulu ki Osman, me smoke columns, dick rehi the. Civilians confuse the Kutch log, sak rehi. The key training, ho rahi hai, Kutch log sak rehi, the key volcano eruption, Kadwan hai, par jab Japanese planes, city ki upper, say low altitude, me fly cart hue dikai dai, tab sabko reality, samaj, aa gaya, logan ni apni gar ki windows band kiye, children ko shelter me lajaya, or Kutch log beaches par se warships, ki burning silhouettes. Ko dek car shock me kade ho gay, har blast, ki bod Pearl Harbor ki waters or dark ho rehi the, burning oil surface par spread, ho raha flames pani ko ek og ki jeel jasa bana rahi thi, Kutch sailors, pani me gur, car swimming karn ki koshish, kar rehi the. Pearl Harbor Key attack Key Beach jab second wave apna destruction pura kar rahi thi. Tab American defenders car response or aggressive hota yaraha the anti-aircraft batteries. Joe Sherwatt me almost silent. Or confuse the AB continuous fire me engage ho chuk the Hicks. Ford Island, or harbor key multiple points par AA gunners. Ni apni guns rotate key or Osman me crossfire create car dia. Smoke or flames key beach b unka determination unk aim ko steady rack raha da. Ek gunner ni bod me kaha da. Humni bas itna, socha ager hum ruk gay to sab katam. Ye mindset. Pearl Harbor ki har soldier me jag chukada. Kahin b order ki zarurat nahi thi. Harek defender ni apni marzi say, fight back shoru kar dia. Dusri wave key planes AB damage lean lage the. Ek dive bomber pay AA shell ka direct hit laga. Or plane ek burning spiral me gunt hu samandar me crash hua. Do zero fighters ek 40mm gun ki barrage me fast gay. Or dono ek second ki gap me hawa me explode car gay. Har successful hit ki bod b koi, cheer nahi, karta da. Sab janta the ki har next plane def, lakar a raha hai. Is beach ek heroic moment Wheeler field par dikai dia. Do American pilots. George Welch or Kenneth Taylor, Joe previous night, ek party me the, unhon bina walked, waist kiye, apni uniforms penny or, ek nearby auxiliary, airstrip par chad, gay, unhon ek functional P-40 Warhawk, dunda, or bina kissy official clearance key, take off car dia, jab wo hawa me uth, unhon Pearl Harbor ka burning landscape deka. Par wo der nahi. Unhon Japanese fighters par direct engagement shuru kia. Taylor ni ek zero ko chase kia or gunners ki crossfire me la car destroy car dia. Welch ni ek dive bomber ko shoot down kia. Ye dono pilots attack ki beach America ki first airborne defenders bane. Harbor ki par navy yard me. Machinists or workers, injured sailors. Ko shelter di rehi. The medical stations overloaded the Isley workshops, tool rooms, or storage spaces, temporary treatment centers Bengay. Joe log tools say metal plates, shape cart the AB bandages or antiseptics handle car rehi the Koi B Kali Nahi Kata the USS Shaw, Jo dry dock me thi. Massive explosion, me fat potty. Japanese bombs ni usk forward magazine, ko, ignite car dia. Or ship ka bal, really hawa me ad gya. Explosion itna powerful the key shockwave, ni pause key structures, ko, collapse car dia. Photographs me captured ye blast later history, key most iconic. Pearl Harbor images me say, ek bana. Paris walked, blast ka matlab the or injuries. Or panic, is sab tabahi, ki beach Hawaii, ki local civilians, b, help karn aa rehi, the, oahu, ki kutch fishermen apney boats, lakar, harbor ki edges par aa gay, taki pani me gur chuk sailors co-rescue kia yasek, islanders hospitals me blankets, water, food, lawn lage, Pearl Harbor military base the, par attack, ka darat por island ni masus kia. Second wave ki aircraft jab finally retreat karn lage. Tab Pearl Harbor par exchange silence chagaya. Ye wo kamoshi nahi thi jo sakun dedi ho. Ye ek isai kamoshi thi jo. Tabahi ki gairai ko or zayada. Zinda kar deti hai. Harbor ki waters ab shiny blue nahi rehi the. Unme black oil ki thick layers ni samandar. Ko ek burning graveyard bana dia the. Ships jahan kal tak proud. Towering giants, the edge twisted metal ki haunted silhouettes, lag rehi the USS Arizona ka wreckage ab dear settle ho raha the flames abb usk remnants me gel rehi the harbor ki surface par floating debris, wooden planks, metal shards. Orunk beach desperate survivors the rescue boats or small crafts, unki tariff, navigate car rehi the par burning oil patches, ni unk har movement, ko risk bana dia the kutch sailors billowing smoke me disappear, hot your rehi the unki calls faint ho rahi thi, or rescue team surf unki awaz, say direction, guess car rehi the USS Oklahoma key pass ek, or tragedy unfold ho rahi thi, shipjo capsized ho chuki, thi iskandar, dozen sailors trapped. The kutch log ship ki hull key against Bangkar rehi the hoping koi unki knocking sunla. Rescue teams ni oxygen torches or hammers ki soft unk compartments, tak pahunchin. Ki koshish shuru ki, har nak ka matlab ek yan thi, or har silence, ka matlab ek loss. Ford Island or Wheeler Field ki wreckage me be life-saving operations, chow rehi the base key medics or volunteer groups injured Logan ko, prioritize car rehi the shock, burns, shrapnel wounds, blast injuries, or smoke inhalation, har stretcher, kisiko, ek nei story, di raha da koi pilot, jisna plane start karn ki koshish. Me fire blast face kia, koi mechanic Joe apney shipmates, ko pull cart Hugh himself collapse hoga ya, koi lookout Joe surf, us walked wrong place, me kata the, command center me, Admiral Kimmel or, General Short. AB detailed damage reports, receive car rehi the, har report, ek dagger ki terra lagtai thi, Arizona lost, Oklahoma overturned, Nevada grounded. California sinking, West Virginia heavily damaged, airfields destroyed, nearly all aircraft lost. Kimmel ni jab ek map par red markers deck. To usni samaj Leah ki America ka Pacific Fleet almost cripple ho chuka high. But ek detailed Joe surprising thi Japanese ni American aircraft carriers ko nahi mara, Enterprise, Lexington or Saratoga at sea. The or unhi attack me. Target nahi, kir gaya. Yeah, it's small. Accidental silver lining. Thi. Joe Bodmi Pacific War ka turning point ban wali thi. Harbor key edge par locals or soldiers mil car rescue car rehi the. Fishermen boats, tugboats, launches Joe B float car, sakta, the rescue craft ben gaya the. Civilians soaked. Coughing sailors co-drag kark safe areas me la rahitha. Women volunteers blankets la rahi thi. Doctors or nurses continuously injured stabilize kar rahitha. Pearl Harbor AB, ek military base, nahi rahada. Ye ek island-wide humanitarian zone ban giyada. The sun dipped low over Oahu as smoke continued to rise from the devastated naval harbor. The battle had ended hours earlier, yet the air still vibrated with echoes of explosions and the faint cries of the wounded. Hospitals overflowed, doctors rushed from bed to bed, and exhausted nurses struggled to keep up with the endless stream of casualties. Arriving from Pearl Harbor, Hickam Field, Wheeler Field, and Ford Island, for many, the day felt unreal, like a nightmare from which they could not wake. Across the island, military trucks rumbled down the roads, carrying wounded sailors stained with soot and oil. Some were unconscious, others delirious, whispering about torpedoes, cutting through the water, and bombs, falling like blazing meteors. The people of Hawaii had never imagined such destruction could reach them. Now, they saw their skies burned, their shores trembling under the weight of war. At Pearl Harbor, rescue teams fought through twisted steel to reach trapped sailors. Some compartments were still filling with water, others were flooded with smoke so thick that lantern beams could barely penetrate the darkness. Men hammered on metal walls in hopes that someone, somewhere, would hear them. Divers plunged repeatedly into the murky harbor, searching for survivors inside capsized ships like the USS Oklahoma. Even though each trip grew more dangerous as fuel leaked and fires burned, commanders moved swiftly to reorganize. The battered Pacific Fleet, damaged ships that could still function, were pushed toward repair docks. Mechanics and engineers, many still shaken from the attack, worked with frantic determination. Massive cranes lifted shattered sections of hulls. Welding sparks lit up the dusk, creating a strange contrast with the thick black smoke that continued to drift above the harbor. The fleet was wounded, but it was not destroyed, and every sailor knew that from this moment onward, America was heading toward a war unlike anything it had ever fought. Civilians across Honolulu flocked to blood donation centers. Long lines formed outside clinics and aid stations. Women brought blankets, food, and water to help families displaced by the bombing. Radio stations broadcast emergency information through static-filled airwaves. At nightfall, blackout orders swept the island. Homes covered their windows, cars dimmed their headlights, and street lamps went dark. The once lively city now looked like a shadowed fortress preparing for another strike. For many survivors, memories of the attack replayed endlessly in their minds. Some recalled the moment the first wave of planes appeared from the north. Others remembered diving into the oily harbor water as flames danced around them. The shock remained heavy in their voices, yet beneath that shock was something else and emerging. Across the continental United States, the morning of December 7th had begun like any other Sunday. Families were preparing for church, children were playing outside, and many people were simply enjoying a peaceful day of rest. But by afternoon, everything changed. Radios interrupted regular programming with urgent announcements. Bold voices, shaken, yet steady, declared, "The Japanese have attacked Pearl Harbor." Within minutes, shock rippled through homes, towns, and cities across the nation. People gathered around radios, leaning closer as reporters described burning battleships, explosions ripping across the harbor, and the heavy toll of lives lost. The news was almost too overwhelming to believe. Some wept, others stood in stunned silence. But one emotion quickly rose above all anger. A quiet, determined fury spread across the American people. This was not just an attack on the Pacific Fleet, it was an attack on the nation itself. Recruitment stations saw lines stretching down sidewalks. Young men, some barely 18, rushed to volunteer. Some were still in school, others left jobs, farms, and families because they felt it was their duty. Newspapers printed special editions, carrying bold headlines like "Japan attacks" and "War has come." Flags were raised on homes and buildings across the country, many flying at half-mast to honor the dead. Inside the White House, President Franklin D. Roosevelt worked through the night, Advisors rushed in and out of rooms with reports, maps, and casualty lists. The situation was dire, but Roosevelt's resolve strengthened with every passing minute. He prepared a speech for Congress, a speech that would define the moment and ignite the spirit of a nation. On December 8th, millions tuned in to hear Roosevelt's words. His voice echoed across radios from New York to California. Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The nation listened silently, hearts heavy, yet burning with unity. When he finished, the decision was unanimous. Congress declared war on Japan with overwhelming support, only one vote opposed. And even that came with hesitation. America had officially entered World War II. Factories across the nation shifted overnight. Assembly lines once producing cars, appliances, and machinery were converted to build aircraft, tanks, rifles, and ammunition. Women entered the workforce in record numbers. Their symbol, Rosie the Riveter, became a national icon of strength. The entire nation mobilized for war, turning industry into a powerful engine capable of supporting a global fight. Across the Pacific, Japanese commanders celebrated their successful surprise attack. They believed the United States would negotiate or retreat. They believed America did not have the will to fight. They were wrong, fatally wrong. Instead of weakening the American spirit, Pearl Harbor forged it. By mid-December, American ships that survived the attack were being prepared for. As the smoke of Pearl Harbor settled into history, the United States began shaping a response that would echo across the globe. The attack had wounded the Pacific Fleet, but it had not destroyed America's will. Across Hawaii, the military focused on immediate recovery and preparation. Across the mainland, a nation that had once hesitated to enter the war was now united with a single purpose: strike back. In the weeks following the attack, Pearl Harbor underwent one of the fastest and most intense repair operations in naval history. Damaged battleships were raised, patched, and restored. Engineers crawled into twisted hulls, cleaning out debris, sealing breaches, and welding new armor. Oil-covered sailors returned to duty, determined to return to the ocean and avenge fallen comrades. Shipyards glowed night and day with sparks from welding torches, and the air hummed with the sound of machinery working at full speed. Meanwhile, military strategists gathered in secret rooms, unfolding maps across long tables. Red pins marked Japanese strongholds, blue pins marked American bases, and thick lines traced possible routes for future offensives. Admiral Chester Nimitz took command of the Pacific Fleet, stepping into one of the most critical military positions at the most perilous moment. Calm, intelligent, and calculating, Nimitz understood that America needed time but also needed bold action to restore confidence. Across the country, morale soared, even as fear lingered. Communities organized war bond drives, children collected scrap metal, and citizens learned air raid procedures. Posters urging sacrifice and unity appeared everywhere. We can do it. Loose lips sink ships, and remember Pearl Harbor. Those three words became a rallying cry, a promise, a warning, and a declaration. The U.S. military grew at a pace never seen before. Training camps expanded rapidly, filled with new recruits learning to fire rifles, operate tanks, and march in perfect formation. Pilots trained relentlessly in the skies above fields and deserts, mastering dogfighting maneuvers and bombing techniques. America was preparing for a fight that would span continents and oceans. In Japan, the leadership celebrated its early victories, but cracks already formed beneath the surface. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, mastermind of Pearl Harbor, understood the danger. He famously warned that Japan had awakened a giant and filled it with a terrible resolve. While political leaders pushed forward with confidence, Yamamoto knew the United States' industrial strength and determination could eventually turn the tide. Back in Hawaii, it slowly adjusted to the new war reality. Families lived under blackout conditions, fearing another attack. Anti-aircraft guns lined coastlines, radar stations monitored the skies, and soldiers patrolled beaches day and night. Yet hope grew stronger each day as damaged ships rose again from the mud, repaired and ready. In the early months of 1942, while the wounds of Pearl Harbor were still fresh, American leaders searched for a way to strike back. The Japanese Empire had swept across the Pacific, capturing territories with stunning speed. Morale across the United States was rising, but the nation needed a symbolic victory, a bold move to prove that Japan was not untouchable. Out of this need came an idea so daring that many believed it impossible: launching army bombers from the deck of an aircraft carrier and attacking Tokyo itself. The plan took shape under the leadership of Lieutenant Colonel James H. Doolittle, a brilliant aviator known for his daring spirit and calm precision. His task was simple in concept, but incredibly dangerous in execution. 16 B-25 Mitchell bombers would be loaded onto the USS Hornet, a massive aircraft carrier, and transported across the Pacific. From there, they would take off, fly toward Japan, bomb military and industrial targets, and then continue westward to land in China. No aircraft of that size had ever attempted such a takeoff from a carrier. If anything went wrong, the planes would plunge into the sea. Training began secretly at airfields across the United States. Pilots learned to lift off in short distances, conserve fuel, and navigate with precision. Crews remained silent about their mission, knowing that even a small leak of information could cost them their lives. As the Hornet left San Francisco in April 1942, its deck covered with bombers, sailors and civilians watched in awe. They sensed something historic was underway, but had no idea where those aircraft were headed. During the voyage, weather conditions grew unpredictable, and the Pacific winds howled across the flight deck. Then, on April 18th, the moment arrived sooner than expected. A Japanese patrol vessel spotted the American task force. Though the ship was quickly sunk, the sighting forced the U.S. commanders to launch the raid earlier. Far from the intended distance, it meant the bombers would barely have enough fuel to reach China. The risk increased dramatically, but the mission moved forward. No crew hesitated. As the Hornet's deck rolled on rough waves, the B-25 bombers thundered forward one by one, lifting into the sky. It was a breathtaking sight. Massive land-based aircraft rising from a carrier deck designed for much smaller planes. Sailors cheered as each bomber cleared the bow and climbed toward the horizon. The raid was officially underway. Hours later, the bombers reached Japan. The attack struck military sites, factories, and fuel depots. Though the physical damage was limited, the psychological impact was enormous. For the first time, Japanese citizens saw enemy aircraft over their homeland. Japan's leadership was shaken. The illusion of invincibility had shattered. For the American people, the Doolittle raid became a symbol of courage and resilience. It proved that the Doolittle raid, though small in scale, sent shockwaves through Japan's military command. The enemy capital Tokyo had been struck, and the Japanese public, once confident in the empire's expanding power, now realized that even their most sacred islands were vulnerable. Japan's leaders responded with anger and urgency. They sought to protect their territory by expanding their defensive perimeter even farther across the Pacific, and to do that, they needed to eliminate the U.S. Pacific Fleet once and for all. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the architect of the Pearl Harbor attack, believed the time had come for a decisive battle. He aimed to lure the remaining American carriers into a trap, destroy them, and then secure Japanese dominance of the Pacific. His target was Midway Atoll, a tiny but strategically vital island northwest of Hawaii. If Japan captured Midway, Hawaii would be vulnerable, and the U.S. defensive line in the Pacific would collapse. Victory there could force America to negotiate peace. But the Japanese were unaware of one critical fact. American cryptanalysts had cracked a major portion of Japan's naval code. Station Hypo, a small intelligence unit in Hawaii, had been listening, decoding, and piecing together fragments of messages. Led by Commander Joseph Rockefort, these codebreakers confirmed that AF, the mysterious objective mentioned in Japanese transmissions, was indeed Midway. Their work gave the United States a massive advantage. It knew the enemy's plan before the enemy arrived. As Japan prepared its massive fleet, America quietly mobilized its remaining carriers, USS Enterprise, USS Hornet, and the hastily repaired USS Yorktown. Yorktown had been damaged just weeks earlier in the Battle of the Coral Sea, but crews worked around the clock, performing what many called a miracle repair. What should have taken months was completed in only 72 hours. The ship sailed with patches, temporary fixes, and exhausted crew members, but it sailed. Meanwhile, at Pearl Harbor, the scars of the December attack remained visible. Sunken ships still rested beneath the water, oil slowly rising to the surface. Memorial flags fluttered near the harbor, honoring the thousands who had died. Yet despite the sorrow that lingered, the harbor had transformed into a powerful symbol of revival. Repair docks were full of activity, and the repaired fleet was growing stronger every day. Across the nation, the American people remained united. Families dealt with rationing of fuel, sugar, and rubber. Posters encouraged citizens to buy war bonds, grow victory gardens, and keep fighting spirit. Strong communities collected aluminum and metal scraps to support weapon production. Women worked tirelessly in factories, building tanks, bullets, and aircraft. This massive mobilization fed the war machine that would soon challenge Japan's expanding empire. In late May 1942, the Pacific Ocean seemed deceptively peaceful. Gentle waves rolled beneath bright skies, and distant horizons shimmered under the sunlight. But beneath that calm surface, two powerful forces were moving toward each other, one confident and expanding, the other determined and rising from the ashes of Pearl Harbor. The world was approaching a turning point, though few yet understood how important the coming days would be. For the Japanese Navy, everything appeared to be unfolding according to plan. Their fleet was the most experienced and feared in the world. Battleships, carriers, cruisers, and destroyers stretched across the ocean like a vast steel armada. Pilots, who had gained confidence from victories across the Pacific, sharpened their skills and prepared for another blow. Japanese commanders believed the attack on Midway would force the Americans into a desperate confrontation, and once there, remaining carriers were destroyed. Japan's dominance would be complete. At the heart of this enormous fleet sailed four of Japan's most powerful carriers, Akagi, Kaga, S-Rai, and Hiri. Their decks were lined with aircraft, their crews trained to near perfection. Confidence ran deep. Many sailors believed this operation would replicate the success of Pearl Harbor. They were certain the Americans had neither the strength nor the courage to withstand the full might of the Imperial Navy. But hundreds of miles away, the U.S. Pacific Fleet was already preparing. Thanks to intelligence breakthroughs, Admiral Chester Nimitz knew where Japan planned to strike, when they planned to strike, and roughly how many forces they would deploy. Instead of reacting blindly, he positioned his carriers northeast of Midway, exactly where the enemy least expected them. Aboard the USS Enterprise, USS Hornet, and USS Yorktown, American sailors and pilots braced for the coming battle. For many, thoughts drifted back to the horrors of Pearl Harbor. Some had watched comrades perish in the burning harbor. Others had helped drag wounded men from flaming waters. That memory fueled. Now, they weren't just preparing for another fight, they were preparing for justice. On Midway Atoll itself, Marines, pilots, and civilian workers scrambled to strengthen defenses. Anti-aircraft guns were dug into the sand, bunkers reinforced, and runways patched repeatedly. Pilots studied reconnaissance photos and enemy flight patterns. Though small and remote, Midway had become the focal point of a grand struggle. Everyone stationed there knew the stakes. If they failed, Hawaii could fall next. Life on the carriers remained tense. Pilots cleaned their gear, studied maps, and rehearsed attack formations. Mechanics checked engines with obsessive precision, knowing a single malfunction could mean disaster. At night, the decks glowed faintly under covered lamps as officers met in hushed briefings. Every man sensed the enormous weight of what was to come. June 4, 1942 began quietly over the Pacific. The sky was pale, the ocean calm, and the air still cool with early morning wind. But beneath that peaceful dawn, two enormous forces were preparing for one of the most decisive clashes in naval history. On both sides, commanders knew that by the end of the day, the future of the Pacific War could change forever. Before sunrise, scouts from Midway Atoll lifted into the dark sky. Their mission was simple but critical: locate the Japanese fleet before it struck. The pilots scanned the vast ocean below, searching for any sign of movement, smoke trails, carrier wakes, or aircraft in formation. Meanwhile, the Americans on Midway prepared for the worst. Anti-aircraft gunners checked their shells, ground crews readied bombers on the runway, and Marines tightened their defensive positions. Shortly after 5 a.m., bi-patrol planes spotted enemy ships. A short, urgent message crackled across the radio. Many planes heading Midway, bearing 320, distance 150. The moment had arrived. The Japanese attack wave was on its way. On the Japanese carriers Akagi, Kaga, S-Rai, and Hiri, flight decks roared with activity. Pilots scrambled into their cockpits, engines started, and crew members rushed to position aircraft for launch. The Japanese strike force was large and experienced: fighters, dive bombers, and torpedo bombers prepared to repeat the devastating success they had achieved at Pearl Harbor. As the first sunlight touched the horizon, the Japanese aircraft lifted into the sky, engines thundering. The pilots flew with supreme confidence. They had crushed every target placed before them across Asia and the Pacific. Many believed Midway would fall just as easily, but the Americans were ready. At Midway, sirens wailed, soldiers dashed to bunkers, pilots raced to their aircraft, and anti-aircraft crews scanned the sky. Within minutes, the first Japanese planes appeared, glimmering as dark silhouettes against the rising sun. Then the attack began. Explosions tore across Midway as bombs crashed into buildings, fuel tanks, and runways. Flames shot upward, smoke spread across the atoll, and the ground shook with every impact. Yet despite the ferocity of the assault, American defenders fought back fiercely. Anti-aircraft guns fired with relentless determination, filling the sky with bursts of black clouds. Japanese planes zigzagged through the exploding flak, but many were hit and spiraled into the ocean. Meanwhile, Midway's own aircraft launched in scattered groups. Pilots struggled to align formations, but they went anyway, unafraid, unhesitating. Torpedo bombers skimmed low over the water, dive bombers climbed into the clouds, and fighters attempted to protect the bombers as best they could. Many of these American aircraft were outdated and slower than the Japanese Zeros, but every pilot understood the importance of the mission. They had to slow Japan's assault long enough for the U.S. carriers to strike back. As the sun rose higher over the Pacific on June 4, 1942, the battle intensified. Midway had been battered, but not broken. Smoke drifted from burning fuel tanks and scorched runways. Yet the defenders remained defiant. Their determined resistance created the delay the U.S. Navy desperately needed, and at sea, the American carriers were closing in. On the Japanese carrier Akagi, Admiral Chuichi Nagumo faced a decision that would shape the entire war. His first strike had damaged Midway, but had not destroyed it. Some officers urged him to launch a second wave immediately. Others warned that American carriers could already be nearby, but Nagumo hesitated. His aircraft were returning low on fuel, and his decks were crowded with planes that needed to land. He ordered the recovery of his returning strike group before preparing another attack. This decision cost precious minutes. Meanwhile, American torpedo squadrons from the USS Hornet, USS Enterprise, and USS Yorktown were already in the air, flying low over the ocean in search of the Japanese fleet. These men flew slowly, painfully aware they lacked fighter escort and were outmatched by the Japanese Zero fighters above. Yet they pressed on without hesitation. The first to arrive was Torpedo Squadron 8 from the Hornet. Commander John Waldron led his pilots directly toward the Japanese carriers, even though they were soon overwhelmed by enemy fighters. One by one, the American planes were shot down. No torpedo hit its target. Waldron and all his men were killed, except one gunner captured later. Their sacrifice, however, was not in vain. Minutes later, Torpedo Squadron 6 from the Enterprise and Torpedo Squadron 3 from the Yorktown made their own attacks. They, too, were slaughtered by Zeros and anti-aircraft fire. Many crews never even released their torpedoes. The ocean below became dotted with burning aircraft and parachutes drifting down. But their bravery achieved something crucial. The Japanese carriers. Fighters were drawn low to sea level, and the flight decks were completely focused on the torpedo threat. They never saw what was coming next. High above the clouds, unnoticed by the Japanese, American dive bombers from Enterprise and Yorktown arrived at the perfect moment. Guided partly by luck and partly by determination, they located the Japanese fleet just as Nagmo's carriers were in their most vulnerable state, decks cluttered with refueling aircraft and bombs scattered across the hangars. At 10:22 a.m., the sky opened. From thousands of feet above, the U.S. Navy's SBD Dauntless bombers plunged toward the Japanese carriers in steep, near vertical dives. The pilots steadied their aircraft against the screaming wind and aimed for the flight decks below. Bombs released with deadly precision. Kaga was hit first. Multiple bombs exploded across her deck, igniting fuel tanks and ammunition. Flames engulfed the carrier instantly. Moments later, Akagi was struck by a fatal hit near her flight deck. The morning sky over the Pacific had turned dark with smoke from the burning Japanese carriers Akagi, Kaga, and S-Rai. Flames raged across their decks, black columns rising like pillars into the heavens. Sailors leapt into the sea to escape the inferno, and rescue ships rushed to save survivors. The once mighty core of Japan's carrier force had been devastated in just minutes. But the battle was not finished. One carrier remained a lone giant still capable of delivering a deadly blow. Hiri, under the command of Admiral Taman Yamaguchi, prepared to strike back with fierce determination. Her pilots were some of Japan's best, and they took off with a burning desire for revenge. Hiri's first wave headed straight toward the American carrier that had been spotted, the USS Yorktown. Yorktown's crew had already endured fierce fighting earlier that year at Coral Sea. Now, they braced themselves once again. Radar operators tracked the incoming enemy planes, and the order rang out. General quarters. All hands, man your battle stations. Fighters launched at intercept. Anti-aircraft gunners stood ready. Yorktown maneuvered at full speed, swinging hard across the ocean to avoid torpedoes. But the Japanese pilots were skilled, and their attack was precise. Torpedoes streaked across the water, leaving white trails behind them. Dive bombers screamed down from the sky. Yorktown's guns roared, filling the air with bursts of black flak. Some Japanese planes were hit and spiraled into the sea, but others reached their mark. Explosions tore into the Yorktown's hull, sending shockwaves across the deck. Fires erupted, and smoke filled the sky. For a moment, the carrier seemed lost, but the American crew refused to surrender their ship. Damage control teams rushed into the flames, sealing ruptured compartments, fighting fires, and pumping out flooding water. Within minutes, the Yorktown, despite being battered, was still afloat and still capable of launching aircraft. Their resilience amazed even their commanders. Hiri launched a second strike wave, determined to finish the job. Once again, the Japanese pilots targeted Yorktown, believing she was a new, undamaged carrier, unaware it was the same ship they had just hit. The second attack added more damage. Bombs crashed into the deck, flames spread again, and the ship listed sharply. This time, the damage was too severe. Captain Elliot Buckmaster finally gave the heartbreaking order: abandon ship. Crew members slid down ropes, jumped into boats, and floated beside the wounded carrier. Yorktown, the ship that had survived 2 major battles, now drifted silently, still refusing to sink. She would remain afloat for days before a submarine torpedo finally sent her beneath the waves. Meanwhile, U.S. commanders aboard Enterprise and Hornet prepared a counterstrike against Hiri. Planes roared off their decks, pilots flying with the knowledge that destroying Hiri was the key to securing victory. The hours that followed the attack on Pearl Harbor were filled with the heavy silence that spread across the American nation like a dark cloud. News bulletins cut into regular radio programs, delivering the shocking announcement: the United States had been attacked. In homes, offices, factories, and schools, people gathered around radios, listening in disbelief as the scale of the devastation became clear. The American people, who had long debated whether to enter the war, now found their answer delivered in flames and smoke. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, after receiving confirmations from every military branch and intelligence unit, knew that the world had changed forever. The isolationist stance that had shaped America's foreign policy for years could no longer continue. The attack on Pearl Harbor was not just a strike on a naval base, it was an attack on American sovereignty. It demanded a response. At military installations across the Pacific and the mainland, officers scrambled to assess the situation. The question that worried them most: was Pearl Harbor only the beginning? Rumors and early reports suggested possible enemy submarines off the West Coast, aircraft spotted near Alaska, and coded messages intercepted but not fully understood. Though many of these reports later proved false, the uncertainty added to the sense of vulnerability that swept across the nation. In Honolulu, hospitals overflowed with wounded sailors and civilians. Doctors, nurses, and volunteers worked tirelessly, often with limited supplies. Entire neighborhoods came together to help, donating blood, preparing food, offering comfort. The city, still shaken, united with a shared determination to recover and support the military men who had endured the unimaginable. American naval commanders immediately turned their attention to what remained of the Pacific Fleet. Though battleships lay crippled, the aircraft carriers Enterprise, Lexington, and Saratoga had escaped destruction because they were away at sea. These carriers would soon become the backbone of the U.S. Navy's counter-offensive strategy. The Japanese had hoped to deliver a fatal blow, but the survival of the carriers meant America still had the means to strike back. Meanwhile, intelligence officers scrambled to understand how the attack had unfolded without warning. Investigators pieced together intercepted Japanese communications, missed clues, and last-minute messages that had arrived too late. The failure to predict the attack would soon spark controversy and multiple inquiries, but in the immediate aftermath, the focus remained on defense and preparation. Across the country, military enlistment offices saw long lines of young men eager to serve. Factories began shifting to wartime production, converting automobile lines into tank assembly floors and aircraft plants. Women prepared to step into roles they had never held before: mechanics, engineers, welders becoming a crucial part of America's. On the morning of December 8, 1941, the United States Congress gathered in a packed chamber filled with tension, anger, and expectation. The attack on Pearl Harbor had shaken the nation to its core, and the representatives of the American people were ready to respond. Reporters lined the balconies, their notebooks open, their cameras ready. Millions of Americans sat by their radios, waiting for the words that would define the nation's path forward. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, escorted by aides, entered the chamber with a solemn expression. Though physically limited due to his condition, his presence commanded complete attention. When he reached the podium, the room fell silent. Without hesitation, he began delivering one of the most powerful speeches in American history. His voice, steady and firm, carried the weight of a nation's pain and determination. He declared December 7th as a date which will live in infamy, a phrase that echoed across the chamber and across the nation. He detailed the treacherous nature of the attack, the deceptive negotiations, the surprise assault, and the heavy losses of American lives and ships. Every sentence struck with precision, shaping both emotion and resolve. Roosevelt made it clear, this was not just an attack on military forces, it was an attack on the American spirit. As he concluded, the chamber erupted into applause, not of celebration, but of unity and resolve. Congress moved swiftly. In a nearly unanimous vote, they approved the declaration of war against the Empire of Japan. Only one representative voted against it, believing deeply in pacifism, but the overwhelming decision reflected the nation's collective will. America had officially entered World War II. Across the Pacific, Japan celebrated the initial success of the Pearl Harbor attack. Japanese commanders believed they had crippled the U.S. Pacific Fleet enough to buy the time needed for rapid expansion throughout Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands. Their strategy was clear: seize vital territories, fortify them, and force the United States into a costly and prolonged war that Japan hoped America would eventually negotiate to end. But Japan underestimated the resilience and resources of the United States. While the battleships lay damaged, many were not permanently lost. Several would later be raised, repaired, and returned to service. More importantly, the American aircraft carriers, which Japan had failed to destroy, would soon take center stage in the Pacific War. They would become the very tools that would change the tide of battle. Back in Hawaii, military leaders worked nonstop to reinforce defenses. Anti-aircraft batteries were repositioned, airfields repaired, and radar systems upgraded. Communication lines were restored, intelligence networks strengthened, and naval operations reorganized. The attack had exposed weaknesses, but it had also ignited a determination to improve, adapt, and fight back with everything. The